Good, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. So today I'm going to talk about Salesforce Connect, which is pretty simple topic. But if you never heard about Salesforce Connect, I will explain to you in a nutshell what Salesforce Connect is all about. Think about a scenario: you got a Salesforce system and you got a SAP system, right? And SAP is the master for order management, right? What that means is that anything to do with the orders that get stored in SAP, like in order details and order headers, right? Now, Salesforce has a requirement. I mean, as a part of your business requirement, you wanted to see those order generated in SAP within Salesforce. But the key is that although you wanted to see the orders which has been generated on a uh, in an SAP system, right? You should not be bringing the data over to the Salesforce, because if you do so, right, it defeats the purpose, right? Then you are duplicating the data on the both side, right? So all you wanted to do is to view the data, probably make some kind of modification to it, but the Salesforce should not be the data store for the order management, so order related information that's get generated in SAP. Okay, so keeping that into consideration, we have something called Salesforce Connect, right? Now, Salesforce Connect is pretty simple to configure. So what I've done, right, I'm going to teach you guys this time from a trailhead because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I have talked about Salesforce Connect in the past, not as a part of a Platform Developer 2 series, but as a part of an integration series. If you're interested, check it out. I talked about cross-org connection. I've talked about how to configure a custom Apex adapter for Salesforce Connect. Okay, so in this case, we're going to look at the OData connector, right? So what I've done, so I have installed this package, right? So it's pretty straightforward to install, right? I hope you guys know how to install it. It's pretty straightforward. So you go to trailer, right? So I'll put a link in the description below if you wanted to practice it. So you open this, you just open in a new tab. It will ask you to install it if you haven't installed it. And so you install, it's just going to take a while based on the speed. Okay, so it's already been installed. So that's why it says, you kind of grade it just to save time. So you got an option, right? Install for admin only, install for all users. So install for admin and yeah, and just follow the instruction, right? Once you install, there's an option to set the customer ID. So you click on it, so that will take care of it. Okay, now once that's installed, right? Now what's the next step? Next step is to configure external data service. So what do you do? So you go back. Oh, come on. Uh, this one. It's taking time. My apologies. Sometimes it just acts a bit funny. Okay, so what we do, we're gonna go to the setup here, and so you look for external. Come on, external. So external data sources. This is the one thing you need to configure. So what happens is, right, when you try to configure it, right, it will create an external object behind the scene. External objects is something, which is responsible for your data viewing and other stuff, right? Anything to do with the Salesforce Connect, external objects comes in the picture, right? So I've already created an external data source. I'm just going to show you how to do that. Um, so let me edit this one, okay? So if you wanted to create an external data source, you come here, you click on new external data source, right? So this is how, so you fill in the information here, uh, and then you choose, say, the external data source name. Let's say if you wanted to bring in the order, so you bring in the order, okay? And if you wanted to bring in other stuff, you just give the meaningful name, right? And then you have a type. Okay, so what kind of the type you're dealing with. So in our case, we're dealing with OData 4, right? And if you wanted to do cross org, you can do cross org, or if you wanted to deal with a custom adapter, you can do that as well. Okay, so let's say if I choose OData 4, right? You ask you to put in the URL here. Okay, so let me go back and show you the one which I've done. So you go to edit here, and excuse me. So as you can see that I'm bringing the order stuff here, right? So I put in the order name, put in the, this is the API name, and then I've selected the type as OData 2, right? So I'm dealing with OData 2. So you can, if you have an OData 4, then you can do OData 4. So URL is very important. So this is a URL, which I got it from the package, what I've mentioned 5 minutes ago, right? And so you put the URL here, and now if you wanted to make your external object, right? In this case, we are dealing with order because that's the one we're bringing in for viewing, right? So if you wanted to do a CRUD operation on the object, so you make it as a writable external object. So what that do, right? It will make your external object writable. If you're dealing with high data volume, then you need to take this option as well, right? So and right now I'm not dealing with any kind of auth or any kind of authentication, so I just kept it very simple, right? So nothing fancy here. So once you do that, you're going to save it, and once you save it, usually you have an option to edit and sync, validate and sync. So once you validate and sync, see, you get something like this screen, right? So you can validate and sync. When you click on validate and sync, right? Uh, so you can select which option you wanted to do. So you can, select order details and order, and you can sync it. Okay, so it's already been synced. So you can click on it and you can sync it. If you wanted to bring something else, you can bring something else, right? So it's pretty easy to do so. So once that's done, you can pretty much create a tab, right, to view your order details. Okay, so I've created a tab already. So what I'll do, I'll just look for, I hope you guys know how to create a tab, right? So it shouldn't be a difficult task. So let's see if I look at the orders, right? No, not this one, because it looks a bit different. Because I got multiple, there's a standard order object, so that's okay. So this, you can see external ID and display URL. So this is what this indicates that it is an external object. Okay, so what I'll do, I will do all, and so you see, you bought this data, right? The thing is that this data is not stored in the Salesforce. You are actually seeing this data to view it in this case, because I haven't made an external object writable, so you can view this information, right? It's pretty straightforward. And if I click on, see, this is the order date, ship date, order ID, customer ID, right? Pretty fantastic. Now that's all good, right? Now you have to understand one thing: the relationship an external object can form, right? Which is very important for you guys to know. So what I do, I'm gonna go back, right, and let's see what our relationship an external object can make, right? The two important relationship which you have to understand. So for that case, what I'll do, I'll go to external object, right? External objects we go, and you see these two objects are created. So I'll go to orders first, right? I mean, you can go to either one, but right now, let's say I wanted to make a relationship with this. I wanted to make an indirect relationship, right? So I will do edit. I wanted to change this field type, okay? Or so what I'm gonna do the change field type. So you can change the field type, right? Changing the field type or adding a field, it's just what I'm trying to do here, right? I wanted to show you guys the kind of relationship you can make within using an external object, and if can you make an indirect relationship, can an external object make an indirect relationship with another external object? Is that possible? Or can external object make an external lookup relationship with a standard object, if it's that possible? So that's exactly what I wanted to show you guys, right? It's important for you guys to understand from a design perspective, because you might, designing a solution for a customer, so they might say, oh, I have this account relationship. I wanted to integrate this order with account. Can I use, lookup relationship, or can I use external lookup relationship? Right. Let's see if it's possible with external lookup relationship. So I go to external. Okay. And I go next. And can you relate to? See, you can't. You can't make an external object to have a field, uh, to have an external relationship with a non-external object. Okay, so as you can see, we can't make an external lookup relationship. So, and what about indirect lookup relationship? Can you do so? Let's find out. So you can do that using account, right? And when you do that using account, you can click on next. You actually link a target field, and then you form a relationship. So this thing you have to keep into consideration, right? This is important for you guys to understand. Right? You can't say, "Oh yeah, I have an external object. Okay, I wanted to make. Okay, let me make an external, lookup relationship with an account." That's not possible. So you can only make with, another external object. Okay, so and let's see what about the lookup relationship, right? So you're gonna do lookup. So you can do with standard object, so it's not a problem whatsoever. So that works, right? So this is important, from a like I said, from a design perspective. Even though you are a developer, it doesn't matter. You still have to understand how the stuff works, right? Because the whole idea of Salesforce certification is not to just to go and clear the certification, score 70 percentage or 80 or whatever, right? And say I clear this. That's not the whole point. Point is to understand the concept very well, right? So when I put you in a scenario, right, where you have to go and talk to customer, get the requirement, and start building a solution, right? If you are a PD2, and you should be able to understand few, these things. At least that's my expectation. If not, then you're not. There's no point taking PD2 to begin with, right? So, because the certification for the sake of certification, I've seen people. I mean, I've seen this in a lot. People have, 30, 20 certification, 30 certification, right? And my question to them is that have you used it, right? Some people they go and take CPQ for instance, right? But they haven't worked with the CPQ. So what's the point? So I don't recommend people taking certification just for the sake of it, right? Take certification if it's useful for you, right? So yeah. All right. So that's pretty much I wanted to cover in this episode. I hope you find this information what I've shared today useful. So, like I said, if you wanted to know more about the Salesforce Connect, right, you can check out my integration series. I talked in detail about Salesforce Connect, and if you're interested in the code side of things, where you wanted to know how to build a custom adapter, you can check that out as well on the same series playlist, right? All right. That being said, you guys have an amazing day. Take care.